Now, I want to turn to the investigation at issue here. My understanding is that OPR's own policies and procedures state that OPR's findings, their own findings, may be publicly disclosed only when an investigation is final and after all available administrative reviews have been completed. Despite this, the investigation into the Bobby and you memos was riddled with leaks. For example, in February of '09, Newsweek reported that it had obtained a copy, one of their intrepid investigators, obtained a copy of the draft non-public OPR report. It ran a story on it which cited, quote, two knowledgeable sources who asked not to be identified discussing sensitive matters. And that was before Mr. Bobby and you were given a chance to even look at the report and respond. According to you, that he got an email from this author of the story who asserted that, quote, Marshall Jarrett's folks, close quote. In other words, the OPR attorneys were unhappy with the Attorney General McCasey's refusal to endorse their conclusions. Soon after, a liberal blogger released previously unreported details about the investigations, which he called, quote, important inside information of a still classified report, close quote. In May of '09, the Associated Press writer reported about, quote, the draft from an internal justice inquiry, close quote, and the New York Times published an article that described the report. Later in May, another blogger wrote about the then current rumors concerning OPR and their report, saying, quote, a source in the Justice Department wouldn't give me any more details about the forthcoming report, but confirmed that what's been reported about it in the media so far is accurate, close quote. So I think it's clear that somebody was leaking in the, contrary to OPR's own policies and procedures. Would you agree that those facts show that improper leaks occurred?
Senator, it appears from the articles that information that should not be public was made public. The Attorney General and I both abhor the situation with leaks. It is a problem that the Department of Justice has faced, but it's a common problem that agencies across the government have had to face. They are difficult cases. I can assure you that I take it very seriously, and again, in my tenure as Acting Deputy Attorney General, when there are leaks, I will address whether or not further inquiries or investigations need to be.
Was there any use of OPR's powers and rapid response team to immediately respond to these leaks and find out how they were occurring?
Senator, I'm not aware of what has taken place in that regard since and up until the point till now when I've.
Has any investigation to date been undertaken to determine how these egregious leaks against policy and procedures of the department occurred?
I don't know, and
well, I can tell you if it occurred in a normal criminal case in a United States Attorney's office anywhere in America of a serious case like this, a direct violation of the policies, OPR would investigate that, would they not?
I can't really respond without knowing the exact circumstances, but I will tell you if there's a...
Surely you would investigate a serious allegation of a leak in Milwaukee or Dallas, Texas.
If there is a serious allegation of a leak, I can assure you that I will take it very seriously, yes.
Well, it should be investigated, and if it came from OPR, should it not be investigated, or should it be investigated?
It really doesn't matter what the source was if it's an improper leak.
I agree with that. And I don't think it appears it was not investigated. It appears the leak came from OPR itself. In a memo to Attorney General Holder, Mr. Margolis, I remember him as being one of the more respected members of the Department of Justice when I was in it, and he came to the department not maybe in the early 70s or with long hair and all of that, and he always caused quite a there was a discussion about Mr. Margolis. He was such an independent thinker, but everybody grew to respect him more and more over the years. So I have a lot of respect for him, just as so many people who served in the department do. He noted that the OPR report, quote, made a departure from standard practice and without explanation. OPR, in its initial 2 drafts, analyzed the conduct of the attorneys without application of OPR's own standard and analytical framework, close quote. He goes on to express concerns, saying that the framework had, quote, applied virtually without exception, close quote, in the 17 years he'd been tasked with resolving attorneys' challenges to OPR's findings. During the course of this investigation, was there any rule in place, either in OPR or in DOJ practices and procedures, that called for OPR to disregard its own standard analytical framework in cases that dealt with attorneys in the Office of Legal Counsel?
I'm not aware of any rule such as that, Senator.
One of Mr. Margolis' primary objections to the final OPR report was that, quote, it relied on a standard that was neither known nor unambiguous, close quote. In fact, OPR created a completely new standard, it seems to me, from different sources, several of which didn't exist at the time the memos and questions were written. Do you think it appropriate to judge an attorney's actions by a standard created after the action was taken?
Senator, I think that David Margolis' commentary with respect to the first 2 drafts pointed out the issue that you're raising, and as a result of further discussion, that issue was resolved in terms of how the final report was approached.
Well, I think that was an important step. These are difficult challenges that you face. OPR, Inspector General, is not an entity that ought to be second-guessing the very important Office of Legal Counsel or the Solicitor General on matters dealing with serious constitutional questions. I mean, I don't want to say they're pedestrian, but they're at a different level of legal analysis than these people who are required to do that. And the Don Johnson confirmation matter is one that causes a great deal of concern because the Office of Legal Counsel really is an important office. It requires serious, great legal skills and an ability to analytically consider important issues without with the highest legal skill. So that's one of our concerns we have there, and it's always important that that office be filled with the best people. And as you can see, when disagreements arise over OLC's opinions, we can have quite a stir. Thank you.